and for avalanches, because when a new snow falls on top of this, it will not bond very well at all with this. Yeah, these they're big feathers, and what causes this surface hoar to form? When do we get surface hoar forming? You can predict it actually.
When the temperature is lowered quickly after a snowfall?
Yeah, very colder temperatures and cleared nights and no wind. So that's exactly what we had last night. We had a cold night, we had clear skies and no wind, so the surface hoar forming. Now tonight might be some more. So if you came back tomorrow, you might see these bigger feathers. Actually, if you have many nights in a row, there's these huge feathers, crystals that are absolutely beautiful to look at.
And does this happen more in the spring?
In the winter. Winter time. This is the biggest avalanche hazard in the Columbia Mountains, which is in kind of the central region of like British Columbia. Many avalanches are caused by surface hoar. It's a buried layer. So when you get new snow on top of this, now you got a weak layer, and then a new snow, this cannot support the new snow on a steeper angle, say 25, 30, 35 degrees. What's the most angle that causes 38 degrees? 38. North 35 to 38 degrees is where most avalanches occur.
And that's not very steep.
It's
that's
not very
just
steep.
Like this.
This angle right here is 38 degrees probably. So that could slide.
Yeah. Is this H-O-A-R or H-O-R-R-O-R?
Surface hoar.
Yes.
H-O-A-R, yeah. Now some people would use the W-H-O-R. It is a bad woman.
Or H-O-R-R-O-R.
Okay, one last thing and I'll let you go. But okay, this is in the continental climate. This is the worst thing for avalanches. In the Columbia Mountains, in the Columbia Mountains. So in the Rocky Mountains, in the continental climate, what's the worst kind of thing for avalanches? What really causes most of the avalanches there? In the continental like in the Rocky Mountains of Canada, in the U.S., Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, what's the big cause of the avalanches there?
So much snow?
Very little snow, actually. They don't get a lot of snow.
But they get, what's the technical term? They do get depth hoar, which is a problem.
Exactly, that's it, depth hoar. So it's a different kind of hoar, H-O-A-R.
Still bad, lady.
Well, depth hoar.
It's a hoar that thinks about things really intently.
Very smart. Yeah. And what does depth hoar look like? It doesn't look like this at all. How can you recognize depth hoar? You may see it in the spring or winter, even in the Cascades. Yeah. Typically on the east side of our mountain range here. Cascades or Olympics.
Kind of looks a little bit like snow crystals.
Like
sugar crystals.
You get an A+ Chris. Steve, because it's like granular sugar. It's just like sugar. You can pick it up in your hand, and it just is exactly like sugar crystals.
It's not cold.
And once again, the new snow on top of that cannot bond very well at all with those depth hoar. And you'll often find it typically on the ridges, around rocks. I don't see any rocks here, but around maybe some trees like this, some little small bushes, or because again, there's maybe some temperature differences that create that depth hoar. So that's what you want to look out for if you do any trips in that area.
The other thing I would say that I thought was very interesting is we tend to clear out our avalanche dangers fairly quickly in the Cascades.
Exactly.
You know, they come and go, but things restabilize fairly quickly. They get these persistent slab layers out in the Rockies, and you could spend the whole winter essentially in dangerous conditions and never quite know what's going to be happening there. So in some ways, we've got our dangers, but they tend to be obvious and then kind of clear through and restabilize within a matter of days. Sometimes in Rockies they can be weeks before you have any certainty that things have changed.
Yeah, these are called persistent weak layers, and you're absolutely right, because we're fortunate that our storms generally, because we're in a maritime climate, and also the Sierra Nevada typically in the Cascades and Olympics, our avalanche hazard is primarily during the storm or immediately after the storm, and then it improves unless something changes again, like a big warming cycle or more precipitation or rain. Those are all bad for avalanches. I shut my mouth.
Yeah, no, hey, we can continue. Yeah, for sure. We'll